Some of the typical projects we work on vary from Western steakhouses and pizza chains to Korean bulgogi houses to Chinese dumpling chains. We run the full gamut of restaurant concepts. To give you some examples of what we worked on in the last year or two, we evaluated a delivery pizza concept for a large Australian private equity firm in Shanghai that was looking at making an acquisition. We evaluated a Chinese QSR chain based in eastern China for a very large global private equity firm that wanted our opinion about whether an investment in that firm would make sense or not. We did a due diligence assignment in Kenya for an Africa fund that was looking to invest in a coffee house chain. And that was broken down into two phases. The first phase, we looked at red flags to determine whether they should move ahead to a more detailed due diligence. And then the second phase, where we spent time in various secondary cities in Kenya, looking to see what the scalability potential was. And also we went to other East African neighboring countries, such as Uganda, to look at whether that concept could be ported or developed in the neighboring parts of East Africa. So that's another example. We worked with the most famous food hall in the United Kingdom that was interested in licensing their food hall concepts globally. And we actually modeled the food hall in all its complexity to determine what kind of operating model would make sense in places like Korea, Japan, Dubai, for example. And what kind of franchise fees they would be able to obtain, whether it was feasible in a lot of these countries to even execute something as comprehensive as a food hall. And so we spent several weeks in London working with all the managers of the food hall, looking at all the moving parts of the food hall, and presented our recommendations to the CEO of the company. And they have since gone to license part of these food halls around the world. We worked with a very large, very successful Western casual dining chain that had significant problems with their franchisees in Korea. We met with the franchisee, analyzed the market, looked at what we thought were the critical issues, and worked with that franchisee actually for over a year to try to get them to make changes in their model so that they would be more effective in the Korean market. So those are some of the things we've worked on. All of our projects are what we would call bespoke, or really developed specifically for that client. So for example, we did a project for a Korean private equity fund that was looking at buying into a global smoothie chain. And we evaluated the potential of the smoothie market in Southeast Asia as well as China for that company. Another project which we accomplished successfully was we were retained by a very large US family dining chain that was looking at going into the Philippine market. And they had been approached by several franchise partners, and they hired us to evaluate the partners and to recommend to them which partner in the Philippines made the most sense, where the goals would be aligned, where they had the capital and the experience to actually develop a business of scale for this US chain.